Greetings, Uncle Travelling Matt here, reporting from the end of another day here on our Central Asian trip, and we are now in Kyrgyzstan, and to be more exact, I am in the palatial confines. I don't know if that's the right word, certainly interesting, of our accommodation in Karakol. It's a city or town, don't really know which, situated at the end of the Lake Karakol. So, what we did today, we woke up fairly early, and at 10 o'clock, the guy came that we'd organised before, and we've hired a car for 3 days. So this is the big splash out. We were thinking about doing it in Tajikistan, it never really happened. It was much harder to organise stuff there, and the prices they were charging were a bit ridiculous. $300 we're paying for 3 days. It's not cheap. But, you know, you think, well, that's $150 each. We've got unlimited use of the car, and we are covering quite a distance. Yes, it would be a lot cheaper on Mashruki, but we wouldn't be able to do what we've done today. So I think it's well worth it, and it's something I would recommend people do themselves if they've got that budget. Although, of course, there are cheaper ways to do these things. Also, the guy we've got, I think his name's Max, or at least that's what he's calling himself. He's really good. He's our kind of guy. He's so laid back and chilled out, and he's just like, yeah, whatever. And he's just laughing all the time and taking photos, and he's just a chilled out dude, and we like that. You know, he's not too stressful. We had that guide in Samarkand, and I mean, yeah, he was hard work. He was just like, yes, I speak very good English, but it wasn't very good, and he was all so aggressive all the time, and you know, sometimes you get people who want to tell you too much, like Max doesn't. He doesn't really tell us anything. He just goes along with the flow, and that's good. So we drove out of Bishkek, which is a surprisingly small city. You know, we're smack in the centre, and we're, you know, out of it within no time. And then we stopped at a petrol station for a fast food breakfast, or brunch, and a coffee to wake us up and stuff. Unfortunately, my cough, which I thought was going, is still here, still hanging around, bit of a pain that, and it does seem to be triggered by aircon. Like the moment he put the aircon in the car, I was like all the time, and when it's not on, it's under control. I don't know what it is, but anyway, maybe it's an allergic thing. But whatever the case, we had no aircon last night, and we've got no aircon tonight, so it should be okay. We then drove towards the town on the end of Isikol, which I can't remember the name of, but it's not really important because it was just literally a smattering of houses. But the road there was spectacular. It was through these mountains, this wide valley, and through these mountains, and it was it was barren, desolate, but spectacular. A bit like what I would imagine, you know, say crossing like parts of America would be, you know, when you see these like road movies and stuff. So that's, I guess, the nearest I can imagine, but that's not a direct experience thing. Although barren, it wasn't like Tajikistan. This place feels completely different, and these countries, you know, we lump them in together, and we're looking at them from a distance. They're huge bloody places. I don't know how the figures, but I would imagine that, you know, certainly in terms of length, I mean, like Kyrgyzstan, which is one of the smaller republics, it's probably not that different to Britain, at least the main island of Britain, and there's, you know, a lot of nothing in there in terms of population, but the scenery is pretty spectacular, and everybody always said, like, you know, you go to Kyrgyzstan for the scenery, but there is more besides. So then we got to Isikol, which is this enormous lake, and so when you say a lake, think think more the sea, because honestly at times you certainly can't see the other end, but you can't even see the other side at times. It's a huge thing, and we're driving along the south side. So we didn't stop for a long time, but the scenery remained, you know, spectacular, quite barren, but spectacular. But then it changed, and it actually became more green, and it reminded me along the shoreline, this brilliant blue lake, and then you've got these hills behind, almost of one of the drier Greek islands. But then, of course, what the drier Greek islands don't have is like massive 5,000 metre high snow-capped peaks in the distance. We stopped at this place. I can't remember the name. I'll put it in the chat. Which was just like one horse town. It was something like Aksai or something like that, just to get a drink from the shop. And there was this great like war memorial for the Fatherland War there, and a little mosque. I mean, the mosques here are old, but they're not big and showy. They're quite nice. and a poster celebrating these two. I think they were veterans of the war, and they were 100 odd years. It was just, quite an atmospheric little place. Then we carried on, and we went to the beach, and the beaches were packed, and it literally was like going to the seaside. I mean, proper beach. And you could just about make out the mountains on the other side, but other than that, it was a beach, and the locals were there in force. We had fun and went swimming, of course, in the sea, except it wasn't the sea, so it wasn't salty. So it was better than swimming in the sea, because you don't get that crappy feeling and the stinging in the eyes and all that. And we enjoyed that. But then a storm approached, and you could hear the thunder and see the rain on the distant mountains. So we got in the car, and we never really got the full force of the storm. I think we maybe travelled faster than it did, or it veered in another direction. But we got rain and some spectacular dark skies. But then we continued on to a canyon that I think this is like one of the main tourist stop-offs. And this canyon, it is like Wild West stuff. It's basically a sandstone canyon with all these weird formations, and said to have been caused when a dragon crashed and turned to stone or something, because he loved a girl who didn't want to go with him, and that kind of legend thing. But it was so touristy. I mean, like, literally every Westerner from miles around. There's loads of tourists here, by the way. It is not an undiscovered gem. Kyrgyzstan, you want to discover, go to Tajikistan. Do not come here. But it's a very different crowd than what you were getting in Samarkand. It's like, it's Trekker crowd. You know, these are Europeans who like to walk. Very remind me of when we went to Theth in Albania. Same crowd. And but they were all on a stop off at this and climbing up these sandstone things. We didn't do that. But what we did do was a thing where you could dress up as like a Mongol, well, a Kyrgyz warlord. So Thomas, who likes to dress up, he did that and had lots of photos taken and he did look quite Genghis Khan. Being half Asian, he has that kind of look about him. So yeah, he got away with that in a way where I would just looked a bit stupid, I think. Bought silly Kyrgyz hats, so that was good. And then we moved on. And we went to somewhere that I've really, really been wanting to go to ever since we saw a Bold and Bankrupt video. So I'll put the link to that in below. But Bold and Bankrupt's this vlogger that Tom and I quite like, and he's this English guy who goes around the post-Soviet states mostly, and he loves like seeking out Soviet mosaics and Soviet monuments and stuff. He is actually, because that sounds really niche and geeky, he's actually very popular. And wherever we go, there's always, we meet people, they go, oh, love Bold and Bankrupt, love Bold and Bankrupt. German guy in Tajikistan. He watches every video. Anyway, he'd done this video in Kyrgyzstan, where he went to this sanatorium where Yuri Gagarin was sent after his space travels to recover. And it looked a bit of a depressing place, I'm going to be honest, on Bald's video, but we wanted to seek it out. The driver obviously hadn't heard of it, because it's not the normal kind of place you get asked to go by tourists. But it was quite cool, and it was, yes, all a bit overgrown and stuff in places. But it was obviously where the Soviet elite went. It was a military one, so it would where all the elite military families would go. And it was brilliant. It was like this real living slice of the Soviet Union, and there was this like swimming pool where there was loads of people in it and that. But then there were like the kind of barrack blocks where people stayed and that. And you know, we were walking around where Yuri Gagarin had been, and we thought there was a Yuri Gagarin monument in there. There wasn't, but we did find the monument the ball found, which was a guy with a dog. I'm not quite sure why there's that monument there. There's also one of a general. But there is a genuine Yuri Gagarin monument that, if you'd watch Ball's video, you think is just like a couple of clicks up the road. It isn't. It's about 20 odd miles. But it was up this most spectacular valley. And I would say an alpine valley because it looked like it was the Alps. It felt like the Alps. And again, this landscape changes so dramatically. And we went up about 20 kilometres up this valley. We were really hungry by this time. So our driver says, "Oh, let's stop and eat." And we stopped and we ate in a yurt, which is something I was quite wanted to do. And so we ate. We had this amazing salad and bread and this meat with potato in this yurt. And it was really good. And whilst we were doing that, Tom went outside and shot guns for I think it cost him about 5 pence. And yeah, and what was weird, it was all seemed to be run by kids. There were adults, but it was the kids who were bringing the food. The kids who were, looking after the guns. The kids who were doing everything. And yeah. Anyway, so that's that. A lot of stuff does seem to be done by kids in Kyrgyzstan. The canyon place earlier, like there was a gateway where they had to lift the barrier to let you through. That was run by kids. And then all the dress up bit and the shops and stuff, that was all run by kids. There's not an adult inside. So I don't know what the deal is there. But yeah. Then we went up to find the monument. We actually missed it going up and then went several K too far and then realised we missed it and went back. Got photos by the Yuri Gagarin monument. I think he walked up there when he was recovering, and I think that's why his monument is in the middle of nowhere up this beautiful mountain valley. But anyway, that's that. And then we continued on. I must admit, I dozed off. I mean, I've been dozing on and off quite a lot because I hadn't slept brilliantly the night before. But we're now in Karakol, and this place where we're staying is, well, it's unlike anywhere else I've ever stayed. It's a house, but it's a bit Disneylandy. I mean, I'm going to take some pictures and a little bit of a video. The room we're in, and it is a room in the house, is basically made to look like a yurt. So it's like we're staying in a yurt, but we're actually in a house. And I'm in this massive dining room at the moment with the Kyrgyz national emblem made in the ceiling, and these weird, kind of rustic chairs, and yeah, it's all a bit Flintstones. The emblem, by the way, and it was Tom spotted this. We're in the yurt, and the top of the yurt there's like a hole to let smoke out if there's a fire, right? But the Kyrgyz emblem with the three stripes crossing three stripes, that's what you see if you look at the hole on the top of the yurt, because these three stripes are what they use to kind of pull the well, they give it the structure, and you pull the top all in over or back, depending on whether you're keeping it open or closed. And so so that's the Kyrgyz national emblem. I think that's pretty damn cool. I ain't gonna lie on that. So that's that. Me, travelling Mark. I don't know what we're doing today. We haven't even discussed the itinerary. We're going for 2 more days. It's been good today. Let's see what's happened for the next 2. Anyway, it's me, Uncle Travelling Mark. Keep travelling.